This is the 2023 Toyota Venza Nightshade Edition. In this video, we're going to check out all the features, test its off-road capabilities, and then we're going to take it on a drive. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. Woo! Can you believe it's been 2 years since we last looked at the Venza, or as our international audience knows it, the Toyota Harrier? Well, here in the US, for 2023, it gets new infotainment. It also gets a new blacked out trim package called the Nightshade. And unfortunately, it also has a higher price. So is this Venza still a good option for a hybrid compact crossover? Let's take a closer look. The Nightshade Edition commands an $1,100 price bump over the standard XLE that it's based on. This includes blacked out 19-inch alloy wheels, roof rails, emblems, and bumpers. Personally, I think it looks great. Price as you see it here with optional panorama sunroof, $41,665 US including delivery and destination. Unlike the Toyota Harrier sold in Japan, this US spec Venza is only available with a single powertrain, Toyota's excellent hybrid all-wheel drive from the RAV4. In fact, you could call the Venza a RAV4 hybrid, just a lot nicer. Under the hood is a 3.5-liter four-cylinder gas engine combined with a trio of electric motors. Now up front here we have a dedicated electric motor that produces 118 horsepower that goes to the front wheels. Then in the back we have another electric motor that has 54 horsepower and it goes to the rear wheels. There is no drive shaft in between. That makes for a system that is very efficient. In fact, you're looking at 40 miles to the gallon in town and 37 miles to the gallon on the highway. But is it effective when the going gets tough? Well, we're going to test that out in just a little bit. Before we hit the test course, it's important to take a look at the tires that we have here. These are high efficiency all seasons. They are definitely not designed for all-terrain conditions. So we are going to get some slipping and sliding with these today. I know that, but that's just going to make it more fun. The Nightshade Edition does come with blacked out roof rails. However, we have the optional panorama sunroof here, which deletes the roof rails. Because of its sporty tapered design, you do compromise space in the back, especially compared to the RAV4. Here we have 28.8 cubic feet behind the second row. Fold all the seats flat for up to 55.1. Under the floor is a space saver spare. And now the big question is, can we sleep in it? You're not going to be able to stretch out completely, but at 6'1", actually, I can put my legs straight if I'm at an angle. Not bad. In the second row, I got plenty of room. I am 6'1", legs torso proportionate, and I got lots of leg room, plenty of headroom. This is where I would be seated if I were driving. So yeah, this is a realistic amount of space. I really like this modern digital sunroof. I think it's a really cool use of the tech. And if you really want to cut all the sunlight, there is a physical shade that can cover it as well. Now below here, I have vents in the second row, which not all vehicles this size have that. And below that, I get two USB-C power sockets. Over here, armrests with cup holders. Okay, let's get in the front seat and see what that's like. Power this on. Okay, so what we have here is your typical, wait for the beep. What we have here is typical Toyota beeps. So many beeps. Okay, so let's look at this interior. Compared to the RAV4, this is much nicer. I like the materials they used. I even like the design. This center console probably could be a little bit more efficient in its use of space, but all the essentials are here. I have two cup holders. I have a traditional gear selector, which also has a sport manual override, which is neat. I get drive modes, EV mode, which isn't really an EV mode because it's really just for using at speeds under 25 miles an hour. And then up here I have a charging pad in a very awkward position, and behind that I have three 3 USB-C power sockets. So that's a pretty decent setup, if you can get in there. Above that, I get aircon. It is dual aircon, which is nice at this price point. And above that, we have the new infotainment system, which is appearing on all new Lexus and Toyota vehicles. This is a cool system. It is homegrown. That is, they actually developed it in Plano, Texas. And, you know, it's kind of neat. Now, the one thing I'm going to say is not great about it is your home screen is navigation. That's not always what I want as my home screen. But that's okay. I have Apple CarPlay. I've already set this up. It's really just a two-step process. It's very straightforward. And then you get wireless CarPlay. So every time I'm in the vehicle, I can default to CarPlay as my main screen. And that then gives me a multimodal view, which I like, where I have navigation as well as some shortcuts in addition to music right there. As for this built-in infotainment system, it's actually really easy to use. You have your main menus on the left. Again, you default to navigation, and then you go down, you have music with XM satellite radio as well as terrestrial. Phone integration, you can have multiple devices. And then also you have vehicle, where we can look at things like energy flow to see how the vehicle is shifting power around through the system. And then of course you also have settings. Shift this into reverse and you get a camera. Now, this does not include a surround view camera system, which is a little disappointing kind of at this price point. I would kind of like to start to see it. Instead, you get a backup camera that is fairly low res, but it does have tracking lines, which is nice. I have covered this new infotainment system in multiple other Lexus and Toyota vehicles, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. Just note that it's much better than the previous Venza had. The previous Venza had that really old system. That is long gone, thankfully. Now, as far as the gauge cluster, it is a traditional setup here for a Toyota. In fact, it looks very similar to the old one. We have a power meter on the left, we have speedo on the right, and then we have multifunction in the middle, which shows us all the info we need about this vehicle. The most important thing to note is that this is loaded with the Toyota safety system, which does pre-collision, parking assist, blind spot monitor, rear cross traffic alerts, and it even has adaptive cruise control with lane detection. Okay. So, what are we going to do with this today? Well, first off, we're going to take this onto Chicken Run. You can hear the chickens in the background. Oh yeah, you know they're excited because we have modified it to make it even more difficult, and it should provide a real off-road challenge for this vehicle. So after we're done with the off-road, we're going to use this in an everyday usage scenario. We're going to throw the Varla Eagle Pro Eve scooter into the trunk and take this to the trails. Okay, let's start our test. So for our first test, we are going to go on to Chicken Run. Now, this is a fairly easy off-road course, or at least it used to be. But you see, I just modified it because I thought it was basically too easy. Let me show you what I did. So in this section, I've added a couple berms for moto and e-bikes. And then over here is something a lot more challenging than what we had before. What I've done is I've broken up what was one hump into two, so we have more offset, which gives us more extreme all-wheel drive power distribution, which should be a real test for these type of vehicles. Also, in particular with this Venza, I'm a little concerned about approach angle as usual, but honestly, considering how much more I've modified these, I think that there's a very good chance that we'll get some rubbing, and hopefully we don't get any braking. Now, the last change is that I'm going to be now adding water to the log in the back to make sure that every vehicle slips as it goes over. I honestly don't know if this vehicle will get over it. You see, I built this and I haven't tested it. That's right. I've taken my truck over it, but that's not really a test for a crossover. This will be the first crossover I've taken over this, and I think theoretically it should get over it. But there is something to consider with this vehicle. Unlike the RAV4, which has an off-road trail mode, this vehicle does not, because the Venza is not really designed for the kind of rugged adventures that they think that a RAV4 buyer will get into. So I would love to turn on my front view camera, but I don't have one. So I'm just going to have to go with traditional sight lines here. Hopefully we don't get any grinding. The ground clearance on this vehicle is pretty decent though. You're looking at just over 8 inches, so we shouldn't scrape. The ground is a little wet. It is a little slippery. I've been waiting for the weather to dry out to try this because, yeah, here we go. We're already sliding on the mud, trying to get up the berm. Let's back up. Let's get over that berm. Let's get, okay. Oh, well, that worked so far. Oh, I better get out and see because I want to make sure that these humps aren't too big to hit the nose. Yeah, so far I think we'll be okay with the front lip of the vehicle. Yeah, now let's see if it can shift that power around and get over this double hump. Gonna go just a little bit more to the right though. Kind of get that right in the trench there, setting off the parking sensors. Okay, now this is where we're gonna start climbing with that outside wheel. Can it shift power around? So we don't really have any drive modes to put this in. We have Sport, Normal, and Eco. There is no trail mode. I'm just keeping my foot in the throttle. Okay, let's back up just a little bit. Oh, is it having trouble getting over that log in the back? Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, let me again take a look at this. This is the first time I've taken a crossover over this, so I am a little worried. Oh, our approach is fine. That's no big deal at all. We are probably going to bottom out, but it's just dirt. What's going on, chicken? Calm down. There's one very worried chicken. Okay, all things seem to be good, so I'm just going to press on straight ahead. Now we should see individual wheel braking shifting power left to right as we're lifting up over the berm. Okay, I'm gonna have to use some more momentum. It's not getting enough power shifting from left to right, which is disappointing. Come on, you gonna do it? No. There we go, a little momentum, and we are over. Okay, well, it did it, but not without needing to get a little momentum in the process. Okay. So I think what we learned there is that even though this vehicle doesn't have a trail mode, it actually does okay in rough conditions, and that's mostly for a couple reasons. First off, the geometry is actually not bad. I mean, with more than 8 inches of ground clearance, it has enough to get over most obstacles. Also, it does have brake vectoring to handle those tricky situations. You don't have to hit a trail button. Now, would I have liked it to be more effective? Absolutely. But I think given the target audience of this vehicle, that really wasn't that bad. Now it's time to try this out on a more everyday kind of mission. We're going to load up the back and head to a nearby trail. Along the way, I'm going to test the 0 to 60 and also just see how this thing drives. So immediately I can feel like this cabin and these seats are so much better than the RAV4. If you sat in a RAV4 and you said, you know what, those seats aren't for me, but you liked everything else about the vehicle, this might be something you would consider because these seats are way better. Of course, they also have 3 stages of heat, which is nice. I have power adjustments on the driver's side. Passenger gets manual adjustments, but you know, that's not that unusual at this price point. I think it would be quite fair to draw the parallel between this powertrain and butter because, man, is it smooth. With 219 combined horsepower, you're not going to be lacking. I'm going to try a quick 0 to 60 here on a mostly level road. Switch it into sport mode, although with wide open throttle, it's not going to be much different. 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, quite a lot of thrust off the line. E-scooter flew back. And 60 in 7.87 seconds with no drama. That's pretty nice. Should have strapped down that e-scooter. I always find it amusing when a vehicle like this has different drive modes. I mean, because what are you really going to do? I mean, yeah, dumb down the throttle in eco mode. They're going to be more aggressive with throttle in sport mode, but that's about all they can do. It's not like it has adaptive suspension or anything like that. So I think drive modes are just a little bit on the silly side. Also, there is an EV mode. When I come up to a stop here, I will engage that. So go ahead and put it into EV mode. Apparently I have enough of a charge on the batteries to do this. And let's see how long it stays in EV mode. So I'm at 15, 20, 24, 25, and then the EV mode is deactivated. So obviously not something you're going to be able to use around town. It's really just for sneaking into your driveway at night. So yeah, overall, I really like this vehicle. You know, the lack of a trail mode is a little disappointing. The way in which the cell phone has to go way the heck out here is kind of a little weird. But I do like the new infotainment. I think it really brings a nice modern edge to this vehicle. The trunk space is plenty big enough for carrying things like a big e-scooter. And yeah, the ride is super nice. So overall, I like the Venza. I really do. Now, interesting thing about the Venza, we opened up this episode talking about the Harrier, just real briefly. Internationally, you can get this vehicle with a variety of different powertrains. However, in the US, it's only sold as a hybrid. And I'm actually okay with that because I think the hybrid is the best of the RAV4 powertrains. So this one here, the Venza, getting all of the, you know, the nice interior, the cool exterior design, the fact that it's hybrid only, I think that that's fine because this vehicle speaks to somebody who would be more interested and would be willing to pay a little extra for that hybrid powertrain. If you just put the base powertrain in this, it would be like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm okay with that. As for calling this a Venza in the US and not a Harrier, at first, in my mind, all I think about is the Harrier fighter jet, pew, 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 which is pretty awesome. I mentioned Harrier to my wife, and she's like, it's Furrier? I'm like, oh, right, yeah, Harry. Yeah, we definitely cannot call it a Harrier in the US. Too bad. I didn't really touch on safety much earlier, but this, of course, has all the stuff you would expect. It has Toyota Safety Sense, which includes blind spot monitoring, collision mitigation. It has adaptive cruise control with lane centering, which we've tested on probably 100 other vehicles. It's a very good system. Just really safety-wise, there's no concerns with this vehicle whatsoever. It meets or exceeds all of what the competition is offering at the same price. And I love the fact that they include all of the safety stuff as well as that adaptive cruise control, just standard with the vehicle. You don't have to pay it as an option package. BMW. So the nav system here does rely on touch, but it also has another way that you can interact with it, and that is with voice. Natural voice, in fact. Hey, Toyota.
What do you want to do?
Navigate to Vaughan, Washington.
I found Vaughan. Would you like to go now?
Yes.
Calculating route to Vaughan.
That's actually really funny. The navigation to Vaughan that it gave me is 2 miles longer than it needed to do. It's going wee when Vaughan is just right there. Oh well. But the voice commands work really well, and voice commands also allow you to alter what's going on in the cabin. Hey, Toyota.
What do you want to do?
Set my temperature to 70 degrees.
Setting the driver's temperature to 70 degrees.
So that's nice. So do I have any criticisms with this vehicle? Well, obviously, yeah, it would be nice if the all-wheel drive system was a little more aggressive, and just because this is more of like a fancy RAV4, I don't see why they can't include a trail button to get that more aggressive power shifting going on. In fact, I would say that with this vehicle, they probably should include that torque diff in the back, the one that really shifts power around left to right more, the one that you have in the TRD Pro, because I think that would be a very useful feature. And it would also make it handle better on the road. Anyway, here we are up at the park. And now it's time to deploy the scooter. So we're going to close this episode out with scouting on the Varla Eagle One Pro. This is a fantastic full suspension, all-wheel drive, dual electric hub motor scooter. This thing has 2,000 watt hub motors. It goes up to 45 miles per hour, although with me and my size, it goes only up to about 37 miles per hour, but quite a cool ride. Price on this Eagle One Pro is $2,299 US. However, there are discounts available, so be sure to click the link below to get more information. I've been riding these for a couple years and I really enjoy these ones. And one thing particularly nice about this versus an e-bike is you can very easily throw this into the back of a vehicle, even the size of the Venza. Okay, let's check out these trails. Now right now it just has street tires on it. We need to upgrade this to off-road tires pretty soon. The best thing about this, completely silent. I mean, other than the wheels and tires. Also, check out our other channel if you want to learn more about this scooter and e-bikes. We have another channel called Riding Sports TV. So be sure to check that out. So that's my review of the 2023 Toyota Venza XLE Nightshade Edition. If you're looking for a great looking crossover and you're just really not sold on the RAV4, but you really like that hybrid powertrain, this is a great option. It's comfortable, it's good looking, drives really nice, has a little bit of trail capability, but obviously if you want more trail capability, this isn't really the vehicle for you. I'd probably say get a Ford Bronco Sport Badlands instead, because those things are way more capable. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them.